All right, let's return to our interview with Michael Maples, principal of Trumark Homes. Before the break, I said I was going to ask you to share a little bit about how you create your communities that reflect your company's culture. Could you give our audience some insight into that topic, please?
Yeah, one of the things about home building is that now's our chance to kind of execute. When we were doing just land, we had to sell it off to a nationwide builder, and they would take what we had planned and they would, tweak it the way they wanted. And we always thought, there's part of you always thinks, man, we could have done a better job than they did. So when we started the home building company, we said, what is it that we think is going to make great neighborhoods that are sustainable, great communities? And we build, by the way, not only in Southern California, but the San Francisco Bay Area. And now we have a significant pipeline in downtown San Francisco, which we're doing mid and high rise. So, how do you create a community in these different settings that's meaningful? And I'd recently traveled to northern Kenya and spent some time amongst the Samburu people, which are a nomadic tribe. And that means they move their houses about every 6 weeks to different water sources. They often have to walk long ways to water. They're often hungry. And they live in things that we don't consider great houses, and yet there's this great sense of community amongst them, and they're always smiling, and you go, what is it that makes their environment great? And so we kind of reflected on that, came up with 3 things we're trying to do in every community that we saw kind of really in this northern Kenyan tribe, and that's a place to gather, a place to dream, and a place to call home. So if we try to really work hard at creating places to gather, because the Samburu people, they may not have much, but the fireplace at night, the fire pit rather, is a place where storytelling and community is built, and people begin to care for each other's needs, and that's kind of the glue behind the neighborhoods, even though the neighborhood changes every 6 weeks. So we are taking a lot of time in these pocket parks and these kind of dense developments that we're doing to make sure that whether it's on an open space on the top of a high rise or a pocket park amongst townhouses, that we do such a great job that people want to go there, and it's captivating, and there it creates places for community to happen where neighbors meet each other and they interact, and then they begin to care for each other, and we're working very hard at making those just captivating things like the little pocket parks you find in downtown New York or in Europe, where they're not huge, but they're so good that people want to spend time there. So we just think that creating a place to gather in a community really helps stimulate a community and makes it, sustainable. And then we also think there's value to have people have time of reflection or dreaming. So the Samburu people, they don't have much, but they're in these beautiful places that they live, and they have time watching their flocks and looking out over the vistas, and there's times to reflect. And when we reflect as people, we're better people. So we're trying to create a place in every neighborhood where there is a place to dream or reflect. And so at our Wyeth Cove project, there was a bench that looked out towards the mountains. At Granada Hills, it was a bench that looked out over the valley. But you don't always have those vistas. So now what we're doing is we're creating a fountain in every neighborhood that creates a natural place for people to think and reflect. Because when we reflect, we become better people. We decide our best ideas come from times of reflection. Maybe it's an idea for work or an idea for something that might help the community, or maybe it's there that you kind of think, man, I should forgive that person I'm bitter towards. But those things happen in times of reflection. So we're creating these fountains, and every 50 houses we build, we're also drilling a well in another country. And by the fountain will be a plaque describing the location of the well that's in a different third world country. And so this place of reflection will also be a place that reminds you that there's a bigger picture in life and a bigger world in which we live. So a place to gather, place to dream, and then these crazy Samburu people, they live in these little huts you can't even stand up in because they move them every 6 weeks. But when they crawl in there at night, there's this great sense that it's their home. And it's a place of security, a place where great conversations have, a great place where parents mentor kids. And so we thought we need to develop homes that people find works for their lives. So what are the creative ways that we need to change architecture and floor plans that enhance the lives that people are going to live? When they walk in the door, there's kind of this sigh like, I'm home now. So anyway, that's our way that we think we can make great communities, a place to gather, a place to dream, and a place to call home.
That's very powerful. And you also showed me when I visited at your offices that you've also sort of laid out your professional offices in a similar concept as well, right, Michael?
Yes, that's where we're probably different as a company. We're probably, my partner and I both grew up in the Silicon Valley. Our company is much more like a Silicon Valley company than we are a home builder. It's a place of creativity and problem solving. So, we created this kind of gathering spot in the middle of our offices. We have walls you can write on in the conference room it's made for interaction and problem solving. We're less like a production factory, more like what's the new way for a land plan, or a new way people are going to live, or where's a new concept we need to engage in. And so we've tried to lay out our offices as more of a collaborative kind of environment, much like we're seeing in Silicon Valley.